Hi, this is Denise Matthew, and welcome to episode 43 of the Mandala of Life, 365 Days to Self-Discovery. Today we're moving away from tribal energy and how we are emotionally intimate, and also how we deal with conflict and conflict resolution. Now we're moving back into abstract collective energy, where we focus on our body and understand that our body is the temple of our soul. And though spirituality is important, caring for our body and listening to the signals that it gives us, as well as listening to when it's telling us things that we need to know, is important in our trajectory of life. Our body is in form, and because of that, it can put us in the right place at the right time. When we talk about abstract energy, we're always talking about an experience, and we're talking about an experience that we will later want to share after we've had time to reflect on exactly what happened. Abstract energy is living, being in our body, experiencing life, and after we have, showing and telling people exactly what it feels like. This is where history is made and also documented. And though the gate 46 is abstract energy, it's unlike the rest of the abstract energy in that it is part of the channel 4629, which talks about being the only existential energy of the experiences of our life. This is where we truly fall into the experiences of life, where we get lost in what it is to be in that experience, and nothing else exists. This is where we are in the now. There is no past and there is no future. There's only the experience of what we're feeling in that moment. This is about being and not doing. Just by the name alone, called pushing upward, really speaks to this idea of pushing to something higher, pushing above, maybe even trying to reach heaven. This is serendipity, being in the right place at the right time. This is where magic can occur on earth, and where if we allow our bodies to show us the way, they'll lead us to exactly where we need to be. But before we get into new content, let's quickly go over what we talked about in our last episode. In our last episode, we talked about the gate 6 and how it's a harmonic of the gate 59, which talks about our bonding strategy. The gate 6 talks about our emotional strategy and how we decide whether we want to bond or connect with other people or not. It is connected to the profile lines and can tell us how we potentially feel comfortable when we're bonding with other people. This is also where all the streams of the emotional center are generated. This is the energy that decides to be emotionally open or closed to intimacy. There can be a tremendous amount of awareness within this energy, but only if we're waiting. As with all solar plexus energy, there is no truth in the now. This is where we can find defense, conflict, and conflict resolution. And boundaries can be created and broken down. The main theme of this gate is who is in and who is out. And if you want to find out more about the gate 6, please check out episode 42 of the Mandala of Life. With that said, let's get into new content. And please don't forget to check out the other episodes of the Mandala of Life. As I said before, the gate 46 and the whole channel, the 4629, is different energy. It's existential energy. It's being in the experience. This whole channel is called the channel of succeeding where others fail and failing where others succeed, which sounds a little nefarious when you think about it. But the whole concept with this energy is that the body will tell you where to go. If you allow yourself to drop into the experience of being alive, of being in this life, and understanding that this life is about form and that the form of your body is directing you where to go, because we all have what's called a magnetic monopole that leads us where we need to go. It's our trajectory. It's the hook that keeps us on the track. And yet many of us get lost in our mind and our thoughts, and we just think about where our mind wants to take us. Yet all the time, our body is giving us signals. It's telling us things that we need to know, but most times we don't listen. It's when we go to work and we work every day and we're continuing to push ourselves to the limit until one day we suddenly get sick and we can't understand why it happened suddenly. But we might have been actually getting lots of messages from our body, but we've decided, or we had decided, to ignore it, to continue on, to allow the mind to tell us where we want to go and what we want to do. Our body is always giving us signals. It's a physiological response. We can get signals about pain. We can get signals about hunger or exhaustion. Those are things that our body is always telling us, and many times we don't listen. So this is the energy that says, Our body is speaking to us, and it has a lot more to tell us than just those things that we consider mundane, like if we're hungry or not. It can tell us exactly where we're meant to be at the right time. And if we in some way can learn how to tap into the experience that the body wants us to know about, then that's where serendipity can really happen, where we're magically in the right place at the right time. The difference between succeeding and not is when we're allowing our body to show us the way, when we're using our strategy, when we're placing ourselves exactly where we're meant to be, because our body's told us that. And that's when we can have lucky events just kind of come out of the blue. And when we're not listening to the signals that our body's giving us, or we're not actually thinking about our strategy in this life, that's when we can miss the opportunities that we should have had or might have had. And if there's a word that we can talk about that really does connect with this energy, it's called surrender. It's surrender to what is and surrender to where the body wants to take you. And when you do, that's when you can find a spiritual connection that can actually lead you to places that you never thought you could go. Because though we may say that the body is mundane and it's of this earth and it's of form and that it's not actually connected to spirituality, when we connect with the body, it mystically connects us to our spirituality, where we're connected with the universe, we're connected with all form. We're one with the Maya and we hear all its secrets that it wants to tell us. This is the 9th gate of the Quarter of Duality, where purpose is fulfilled through bonding. There are a few places in the body graph that we could say are lucky places or a lucky energy. And luck is for everybody. Just because you don't have an energy defined in your body graph doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. The difference is that when you have something defined in your body graph, it's something that you're more aware of. It's something that comes in a way that you can recognize the energy and what it's trying to tell you. When you have the energy open or you have a gate or a center open, that means it's a fluid energy, which means it comes from other people or transits. And that means that you may not understand or actually connect with that energy as easily because it is so fluid and it is so transient and it doesn't really belong to you. It's energy that comes and it's energy that goes. But if you're open to the idea that it is something that's transient, you can learn a lot from it and actually gain a lot of insights on exactly what it means for you. So when we talk about the channel 4629, this is the channel of serendipity. It is the channel of luck. It is the channel of natural luck. Now, people who have this energy as a channel can actually be in the right place at the right time a lot of times. But again, that is living within your life. That is sort of listening to what your body's telling you. It's like being guided by the universe and not really allowing your mind to get into the mix and kind of take you away from where you might want to go. This is the kind of people that have this natural ability to be always sort of getting that thing at just the right moment. And it's because they've actually released that hold on life and said, okay, I don't need to hold the steering wheel. I can actually let life show me where I need to go. And when that happens, that's when you are in the flow of life. And that is exactly where all the magic happens within this energy. As I said, all abstract energy is about the past, where we reflect on the experiences that have happened. But when we get here, this is where we're actually so in the moment. We're so in that experience that all that matters is that experience. And when we think about our body, it's all the sensations that we have when we're feeling all the things that we're feeling within every experience. But the question now, and especially now in this world where we live in, where we're always looking through a camera or looking through a phone to record the events of our life or the events of our experiences, can you actually be in that experience without looking through a lens, without looking through something other than your own body and how it feels for you? If you're parasailing, can you be up in the air floating and seeing everything that you can see, smelling the air, feeling the currents that are taking you up high and then lower? Can you see the boat below you dragging you along? Can you smell the ocean air, or can you experience the fullness of the experience? And when you can, that is exactly where you are in the flow of life. When we think about the whole channel, the gate 29 is about making the right commitments, and the gate 46 is about serendipity. So the whole channel talks about making the right commitments so that we can have serendipity, or we can be in the flow of life or in the right place at the right time. This is very lucky energy, and if you actually tap into it, you can go amazing places and have magical experiences that other people probably will never have. But since we're talking about the gate 46, let's talk about the hanging gate 46. The one thing that I've noticed the most about the Gate 46 is that it does have a theme that I've seen happen over and over again. The theme is that if you are not in the flow of your life or the trajectory that is meant for you, then many times the universe will kind of pull you off that trajectory that you're on and put you on the correct one. There's a lot of ways it can show up in your life. It's something that in some way takes you away from where you were or where you thought you were supposed to go to something different. I've seen this happen a lot with even celebrities. Someone like George Lucas, who was a race car driver who was planning on being a professional race car driver, when at a very young age he got in a bad car crash and he decided not to race cars anymore. And then he decided to get into movies, and the rest is history, as you could say.
Car driver before the accident?
Yeah, in high school, I lived to be a race car driver. I was in a very bad accident. So then I reevaluated all that and said, well, maybe there's something else for me. Maybe there's a reason I survived this accident that nobody should have survived. So maybe I'll think about going to junior college.
Because were you near death? Was it that bad? Was it like...
It was. And I was
Another person that I've seen this happen with is Adam Driver, who was a person who wanted to do acting, and then he couldn't make it in the business, and then he decided to join the Marine Corps. And he was in there for a couple of years until he had an accident on a bike and broke his sternum, and then he was discharged from the Marines. And when he was, that's when he got back into acting. And then, of course, the second time around, it was meant to be, and things worked for him. It was serendipitous.
Graduated from high school that past summer, living in the back room of my parents' house, paying rent in the small town I was raised. I was serious enough about acting that I auditioned for Juilliard when I was a senior in high school. Didn't get in, determined college wasn't for me, and applied nowhere else. I joined the Marine Corps, and I loved it. I loved being a Marine. It's one of the things I'm most proud of having done in my life. And months away from deploying to Iraq, I dislocated my sternum in a mountain biking accident and had to be medically separated. And I knew I wanted to give acting another shot. So I re-auditioned for Juilliard, and this time I was lucky enough I got in.
And both of those stories are traumatic. And it does say that the universe can really guide us. And sometimes when we don't listen, it will show us in more extreme ways. But not necessarily. That doesn't always have to be the case. When you carry the energy of the Gate 46, even something as simple as a cold, something that in some way takes you away from doing what you're doing, might be some kind of a message that says maybe you need to recalibrate or rethink about something in your life or your trajectory or your path. It gives you that opening to have a deeper look into your life and to see where you're going and if it feels right for you authentically. Ultimately, it's about showing you that you might have something different than what you're doing that you could be really good at, and maybe that is part of your life trajectory. In a very positive way, this really does show you where you're going right in your life and where you might need to reconfigure. Not everybody has that ability to have this internal barometer that tells us exactly where we need to go. So there is a lot of benefit to that. And when you are on the trajectory that's beneficial to you and it's the correct one for you, then that's when you're getting in the flow of your life. And that's when natural luck just shows up and you just happen to be in the right place at the right time and things just kind of fall into place. And all you needed to do was actually be where you were and it just kind of came to you. And that's what this energy can potentially show us. This can really put us exactly where we need to be. And there are other stories of how people kind of changed the trajectory of their life and became something that was something they were always meant to be, and no accidents or life-changing events could have happened other than you have this inner knowing, this kind of thing that you just kind of join and it starts to open your eyes to something different or a different part of your life that you want to explore. It does say the power of this energy is off the charts when we connect into it, to be in the experiences of being alive, of being in this world and being of the Maya. This is the energy of loving your body because it is your body, because without your body, you're not alive. We can't be alive in this world without our bodies. And so sometimes we need to remember that and know that our bodies are just as important as our spirituality. Our bodies are just as important as our mind. And when we understand that, that's when we can connect with our body in a way that it's meaningful, in a way that it tells us its secrets and shows us the way that we need to walk in this world to actually take us to the purpose that we're here for. And when we learn to listen and to respect and to love the body that we have for this life and trust that it has answers that we may not necessarily know unless we allow it to show us the way, The mandala of life turns again, and we move into the energy of correction. This is the energy of the gate 18, half of the channel of judgment, where correcting the patterns is all that matters so that we can find the perfection in the patterns of life. Well, that's all for now, and I'll be back soon with episode 44, the gate 18, the gate of correction. Until then, take care, and I'll see you again soon.